Move over Seiko, you're a Victor Orient, and sayonara citizen. We have a new Japanese microbrand on the block that packs a punch and has some real class. Let's look at the Kuoe from Kyoto. Welcome back to the WatchGecko channel, all of you watch heroes and nerds. As always, I am Chris, and today we are going to take a look at a very exciting microbrand that has had tremendous growth over the last few years. I'm a big believer in the independent microbrand scene. In fact, most of my collection is now microbrands, with the exception of 2 or 3 watches, not including my truck full of Casios, by the way. When Kuoe reached out to us to make this video, we took notice. The 3 watches they sent to us today showcase the scale of their collection. The Old Smith is a classic field watch, the Sombrero is their internal bezeled diver, and finally the Royal Smith has that old school classic charm. Kuoe has been going since 2020, and before I got hands-on with the watches, I looked for some reviews online, and I have to say, generally, people seem to like them, and you know what? I can see why. So let's start off with arguably their most popular watch, and the watch that looks like a homage to watches like Hamilton and other field watches, the Old Smith. We have a 35mm case, 42mm lug to lug, 12mm thickness and 18mm at the lugs. As you can imagine, these period correct sizes makes it wear really, really well on wrist. If you have bigger wrists than mine, you may want to have a look at the 38mm version. It has sapphire crystal with AR coating, 316L stainless steel construction and 100 meters of water resistance. Powering this bad boy is the ubiquitous Seiko NH35. It hacks, it hand winds, and has a 41-hour power reserve. This model will set you back £525. Now let's jump over to the Sombrero. Actually, it's got nothing to do with Mexico. Instead, the model is named after the Sombrero Galaxy, which I suppose is named after the hat. The Sombrero is an internal bezel diver with a bi-directional bezel operated by the crown at 2 o'clock. It measures in at 38mm in diameter, 45.5mm lug to lug, 20mm at the lugs and 12.5mm thick. Again, you have sapphire crystal with AR coating, 316L stainless steel and a brass dial with an aluminium bezel. This also has AF coating, and what's AF coating, I hear you ask? It stands for anti-fingerprint coating. Treats and renders glass surfaces hydrophobic, therefore preventing fingerprints and adhesion to water oil-based dirt. Due to this characteristic, it's also easy to wipe away dirt such as oil residue from the surface. Watch photographers and people with grubby fingers can rejoice now. This watch is powered by the Miyota 9039 high beat movement, hacks, hand winds, and has a 41-hour power reserve. This dive watch could be yours at £825. Finally, we have the Royal Smith, a model that is more elegant and comes in a 35mm case diameter, 13mm thick, 18mm lug width, and 43mm lug to lug. Again, 316L stainless steel, sapphire crystal with AR coating. Incredible for the price. We have blued steel hands, 50 meters of water resistance, and we also find the Miyota 9122 high beat model powering this watch. With the additional complications, the power reserve loses just 1 hour, making it a 40-hour power reserve model. This one is the most expensive of the 3, but still a decent price at just 855 nika. Now, with specs out of the way, what about the looks and my thoughts on each model and the brand as a whole? Let's start with the Royal Smith. Now, I personally like the looks of this one. It's the mixture of Breguet style numerals, the date at 6, which I think is always a good move, and the month and day indicator at the 9 and 3 respectively. There's symmetry and, dare I say, a touch of class about the design. I like the brushed texture of this dial. The case has a bit of a mono pusher style shape, but it's not a mono pusher chronograph. The pusher at 2 o'clock just changes the month. The case on this one is polished, so the model is more dressier than tool-like, and the wearing experience is nice. Probably due to the thickness and the way this watch is designed, it feels more like a 37mm than a 35 on wrist. It has plenty of wrist presence without feeling overpowering and out of place. There's a lot of charm to this one, especially if you're into something a little dressier. But it's not all roses. There's one thing that I'm not a huge fan of, and it's the clasp. The clasp on this bracelet is just a cheaper press clasp. To be honest, I'd probably wear this one on a leather strap anyway, and you do get one in the box, so it's not all bad. Next, let's talk about the sombrero. If I'm being honest, here I don't think the green and gilt would have worked, but somehow it really does. Applied Arabics on the dial and printed on the bezel is kept to a minimum to make it as legible as possible. I like that it's a no date and the textured dial is like a linen pattern, which again is subtle and very well done. Lume is half decent on this watch as well and has a president style bracelet and is comfy on wrist. This watch wears pretty well. It's 38mm, is near perfect size with female end links. You do get a watch strap in the box as well if you're not a fan of bracelets. Although I think the cream and black dial will lend itself better to straps though. Finally, we have the OG Old Smith, and maybe I have a bit of a soft spot for this one because it's inspired specifically by the British issued military watches from the 40s to the 70s, and I briefly was a member of 3 Royal Anglian in the British Army Reserves. I like the smaller size and it's different enough of a design to be considered a homage without being an out and out copycat. In addition of the 100 meters of water resistance and sapphire crystal, it makes it a perfect addition for an everyday go anywhere, do anything watch. The dial has a grainy dial pattern, Arabic numerals and loomed indices and hands. I think for the price, this watch is very compelling. I really enjoyed looking at Kuoe. It seems like a nice fusion of British design meets Japanese quality and attention to detail, which I guess really makes sense when you realise the brand owner discovered his love of watches in the 2010s while studying in the United Kingdom. Are these watches perfect? Well, no, certainly not. But they tick enough of the boxes to make it a great value for money option. The only major criticism is that you only get 1 year's warranty with this watch, which I think perhaps 2 years would have gone down better in my opinion, but that doesn't take away from the sheer value for money you get from a watch like this when you compare it to the Japanese powerhouses of Seiko and Citizen. If you like these watches, we've got links in the video description for each model we mentioned. And if you liked our review of this watch brand in particular, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our latest videos. Take care all of you watch nerds, and I'll see you all in the next one.